Hello, welcome back to another video. By now, hopefully you're enjoying the new 3.7 update, and if you bought it, the First Contact story pack. We played it last night for the first time in a multiplayer game. If you watched it in the live section of my channel, yeah, very interesting. What did I played Broken Shackles. They're quite hard, slow start, but yeah, once you get going, it's not too bad if you can survive the AIs. So today, as the title suggests, what we're looking at is we're going to be taking a look at cloaking. There's heaps of new weapons and stuff in this story pack to explore, so I'm going to be doing lots of videos over the next few weeks exploring all the new weapon types, the different impacts it's going to have on combat, and I really think people are underestimating some of the videos and stuff I've seen, underestimating the ability of cloaking and how it's going to impact combat as we move forward. Because some of the things with cloaking is, as an example, with your science ships, you can cloak them, move them into enemy territory if they don't have the detection buildings. I haven't got any on here, but we can probably build them. There we go, detection arrays there. So if your enemy hasn't got detection arrays, you can move your science ships into their territory, and you can set them to follow the enemy fleets, so you can keep track of your enemy fleets, you know exactly where they are. So, and then you can move your cloaked military fleets in there to ambush them wherever they happen to be. So there's tactics like that you can use. You can use tactics like this, where this is a cloaked fleet of frigates. You can see how they look, nice and cloaked. 80 frigates. And what I'm going to try and do with torpedoes, I'm going to try and get around the back of this fleet, catch it out of position, a fleet of cruisers, which is not cloaked, it's just a standard fleet. And this fleet's got torpedoes, missiles, mostly armor. They're fast, so they should try and get away. They will try and stay in torpedo range, actually, to use their torpedoes as well. So I'm just starting off with this design just to test cloaking, how it goes. So we're just going to try and ambush this fleet and just see if the cloaking, how effective it is, how much damage you can do in that first volley. Now let's look at the ship design for the frigates. What I've done is I've stacked it all with armor, because the cloaking, you don't have shields when you uncloak. It'll have to regenerate over time, so I thought, well, it's better to have armor anyway. Armor seems a bit more effective. Just running of standard torpedoes. This is to simulate sort of early level game battles and just early disruptors, because they're both 30 range. I didn't want to have a longer range weapon which would fire and give away my position prior to the torpedoes firing. I want these weapons to fire at the same time, and the torpedoes go and do the damage before the enemy gets a chance to pull away, increase the distance, because that's one of the things I'm concerned about. The frigate speed being 127 versus the cruisers have a speed of 307, so they are very fast, and that's a lot because of the cloaking nullification of 50% speed as well. So they will get faster once they drop their cloaking, but yeah, those cruisers can really pull away quickly. So it all depends on the opening salvo, really, how much damage we can do. So let's jump in, let's dive in and see how the battle goes. I have not tested this before, so this is my first test, so I'm completely blind here. So let's see how it will go. What I'll do is I'll get into position, and then we'll do the engagement. Try and get around. So they're not, they won't attack each other yet anyway, because I've got to activate the console command, but this just simulates how I would get in position. Enemy fleet doesn't know I'm here. This is, say, be sitting at the starbase. If we had a starbase there, swing around to outflank them. Get in a nice position. And remember, these torpedoes the enemy has firing arc at 25 degrees. So the fleet is facing this way, so he's only going to be able to fire out here in an arc initially, while my ships can fire on him. So these missiles will return fire, but the torpedoes won't until he turns around and engages. But And these are basically Corvette class ships, so the torpedoes won't do as much damage. But we'll see. The cost of these two fleets, it's about 12,000 alloys versus 14,000 alloys. So the frigates are a little bit more expensive. I've kept it at 80 fleet size each because that sort of simulates what you do early game. I didn't want to increase the core cruiser numbers because it's just, to get more than 80 is difficult early. In terms of tech, you might have a separate fleet which gives you more. Let's activate the battle. That one. No, I had it already there. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's see how this goes. Go to slow. There we go. So they didn't fire their torpedoes straight away, they fired the disruptors. Was that happen? A bit of a glitch there? Or just when they merged? They lost 4 cruisers straight away. I didn't even really see the torpedoes come in. Anyway, let's check the damage. Yeah, so space torpedoes just did 20,000 damage to the hull in the first volley. Then his missiles done 874 damage to armor. Yeah, so they're going to struggle to get through the armor for a bit. And now it's a bit of a melee. Yeah, they're not trying to pull away too much because they've got torpedoes as well. So we should win this engagement, I would think. Oh yeah, look at that, bang. The second volley, yeah, wiped them out. Yeah, so you could see in that first volley, we did huge amounts of damage to the cruiser fleet. They lost a chunk of hull. Their armor went down to about 20%. And then the second volley just basically killed them to 1k, and then the disruptors finished them off. So 2 volleys and that whole cruiser fleet was gone. We've lost 14 frigates. So 14 frigates, very, very cost effective. So you can see then just how devastating it can be. The opening attack with the cloak just ripped into the enemy fleet. 20,000 hull damage in that first volley just from the torpedoes. So, and that's against cruisers. Very, very effective. Yeah, I'm surprised how quickly that was over, to be honest. But that fleet was probably not optimized to fight against frigates. So what I'll do is I'll bring up probably our strongest meta, our missile meta with the cruisers, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, for this battle, we've got our same frigate fleet, and we do have the 20% ship weapon range guy on, which we did have last time, I believe. And same for the cruiser missile fleet, which is our standard design we generally use, which is a strong meta early in the game. The afterburners. We've got the artillery computer for this one. We'll see how this goes. So the cruisers should try to pull away at high speed and get distance, and the frigates may not be able to get into range and for a second shot or maybe a third shot, depending how this fight goes. And notice the missiles don't have a arc firing range, so they should be able to return fire straight away with their full force. The missile, the torpedo frigates, standard, same as last time, no changes. Let's just put them into cloak. Now they're cloaked. I think they were cloaked. This fleet is cloaked, that's what it says. But they don't look cloaked. Run a day. There we go. Now they're cloaked. They will be. Ah, there we go. So the effect takes a couple days. Alright. That's cool. I like that actually. That's quite good. So now we're in the perfect firing position. We've gone around ready to ambush this fleet in the opening engagement. We'll see how this one goes. Attack all fleets. Engage. Slow this down.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
The torpedoes away now. Oh, look at them run. They even outrunning the torpedoes. Nearly. No. They're still in the firing range. There's lost a couple ships. Got to the edge of the map. They're certainly going to make a much harder fight of this. Yeah, we're losing frigates. It's pounding us from range. Frigates don't really know what to do. They can't catch them. Yeah, it's going as what I thought it would. So the missile cruisers are still very strong, even when ambushed against frigates with cloak, with no detection. So look at the damage there, a swarm of missiles. So the battle's been totally flipped on its head. The torpedoes just can't do enough damage. It was funny in that first battle. They did 20,000 damage to hull. And I guess the torpedoes, because they fired so slowly and these ships move so quickly, they sort of just got out of range of the torpedoes. They just outran them. Actually, what is the speed? What's the speed of the torpedoes? 9. Maybe the cruisers are just too quick with the afterburners. That's something good. So if you're up against an opponent with cloak, missile cruisers are still very effective. You can see here this battle's well and truly over. Let's fast forward a bit. They're done. Cooked. Lose their whole fleet. So the missile meta is still very strong, at least in that kind of battle. If it was cruiser versus cruiser, it'd be interesting to see how it would go. We might you might test that in the next battle. Okay, so for this fight we've got cruiser versus cruiser. So we've got a cruiser torpedo fleet, which is cloaked. It's using the level 3 cloak because that's the first level that you can use on cruisers. All armor, some afterburners to increase our speed. So we do have the speed nullification due to cloaking. And we do have missiles on here as well with advanced torpedo computers to close the distance. Versus our missile cruisers, which we've seen plenty of times before, which are very effective. So we'll see how this fight goes. We're close to pretty much point blank range, so I want to see how much damage we can do in the opening shot, and to see if this fleet with its a couple of afterburners can at least try and keep up with the other cruiser fleet, and see if this will win or if the missiles are still too effective. Let's see how this goes.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
There you go, torpedoes away. Okay, they've taken out a couple ships. We've lost a few ships on both sides. Missiles are firing, torpedoes are firing. They still look to be just too fast, don't they? Let's just have a look at the ship speeds. 290. Okay, so they are still quite quick. That's the cloaked fleet. Versus 304, so not much speed difference in it. You just see losing more hull. Hull's about the same, but armor's well down. Oh, the armor's down. They got shields. Look at the fleet. Fleet firepower. You can see the damage here. Whirlwind missiles. Well, both sides got whirlwind missiles. Torpedoes just not doing enough damage. They just can't keep in the range. Do a fair bit of damage to armor. Look at the whirlwind missiles. Well, both fleets have that. Even if you divide it by half. Not taking that many losses just yet, but could happen with the hull going down now. 16, 16, 15. So we've lost, what's that, 8. That's a retreated fleet now, so it doesn't matter. Looks like we lost about 7 or 8 cruisers there versus 4 for that. So once again, the missiles were just too good against the cloaked fleet. Alright, let's change it up a little bit. So that was the close range torpedoes. Let's try some longer range torpedoes, eh? Okay, so this time we've got our longer range proton launchers. Instead of the missiles or the shorter range torpedoes and some missiles there, we've got artillery combat computers, level 3 cloak because that's the first one for cruisers, a couple of afterburners. Everything else is pretty similar. It's more mid-game technology versus our missile cruiser, which has got the level 2 whirlwind missiles this time. So that sort of counters the proton launchers a bit. All armor, a little bit of shields. I did go over a little bit of, that's also got artillery combat computers as well. So they should duel it out. I did put shields, 1 shield generator on this one as well to get a little bit of shield regen, see if that nullifies a little bit of damage. So we'll see how this fight goes.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
They still get all their missiles away quite quickly. Proton launchers going in. Still having a hard time getting through the shield, so they lost a cruiser already, lost 2 cruisers. Second volley going in now, they lost some cruisers. 2 apiece. We can see the fleet power's gone down quite a lot. They're just retreating. And they're catching up a little bit. That's it. Just pause it here. You can see, like, even though this fleet's got less firepower, they haven't lost as many ships. Whirlwind missiles. Both sides have got whirlwind missiles. The proton launchers, 17,000. Doing lots of damage to the armor. Just lost too many ships by the look of it. Damn, missile meta's too strong. Alright, so we've tried a number of times. The missile ships are just too strong because the thing about missiles is you don't have a firing arc. So they can instantly, cloak fleet of players, they instantly turn around and just, their weapon slots just turn around and fire the weapon batteries on the ships. Those little weapon batteries, they just turn and launch all their missiles really quick. So cloaking doesn't give too much of an advantage in that situation. So we have to come up with a different tactic. Okay, so for this fight, to see how effective cloaked artillery ships are, cloaked it. So we've got double artillery. I was thinking of putting a laser in here, just for a bit more armor, but we'll see how this goes. Double laser, missiles, whirlwind missiles, and quantum missiles. All armor, 1 shields. Got our cloaking, double afterburners. So yeah, artillery again, just to stay at range and try and pound them with missiles and artillery for that, just to get the higher DPS. And we'll see how that goes versus this fleet. Now, they do have only the 1 shield generator, so the artillery maybe not be that effective, but it's the high range DPS and long range firepower, and we'll see if that's any more effective versus these missiles, which are still very, very strong. We'll see how this fight pans out this time.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Yeah, artillery firing away. Boom, 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 boom. Missiles going in. I like how the 2 fleets just sit there pounding away at each other. So 90.5. So the missiles are just wrecking them again. Look at this. Well, We only lost a couple ships each, but yeah, you lost the battle. That was just so one-sided. So nope, artillery no good in that instance. Struggling to find a counter that you can use cloak for to beat these missile ships. Very, very difficult. Okay, so for this fight, change it up again. I'm going to use a bit of plasma and lasers combined with missiles. Same sort of setup here. Going for line combat computers to keep a bit of a medium distance. Increase chance ship fire rate and chance to hit. Versus the same missile ship design. 2 afterburners as well. So we'll see how this goes. Because we know enemy fleets will try and counter cloak with stacking armor in a lot of cases anyway. So we'll see how the plasma and laser go here. Let's find out.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
The cruiser's just running like crazy. Yeah, do more damage to armor. Still losing more ships though to those missiles. Missiles just wreck us. We're sort of catching a bit. Okay, leveling up. Very even. Just have a look here at the damage. The whirlwind missiles, yeah, but plasmas are doing good and the lasers are doing very good. Getting through the hull, very efficient. Yeah, shredding through that armor. Yeah, so this could be a good counter. Both sides are not too many ship losses. Yep, so it looks like we've got them. There we go. So we beat the missile meta with the cloaked fleet. So that was with cloaked cruisers with plasma and lasers with missile combination. So a bit of an odd combination, but it worked against the missile meta because it could just keep that fire pan. Now this works when the enemy has high amounts of armor and is not stacking shields, which in PvE probably not so much. You'd probably stack more a mix of armor and shields. And you might put some kinetic in there as well. You might have an artillery in there, and it would probably be just as good. But the AI PvE is not going to have this pure missile ship design. It's mostly going to be against other players that you're going to have that problem. But you can see missiles very strong still. But using cloak with using plasma and lasers in this and a few missiles, you defeated the missile meta by being in position behind them, launching that first shot and getting in there. Now, I do want to try a bit of a later game fleet as well to try it out. Oh, who's calling me? Okay, for this fight we've got our bit more sort of later game technology. I wanted to try out the Devastator torpedoes and how effective they were. Combination missiles to give us constant damage on the enemy. Just higher level tech here. Still just not any really high level of cloaking, just normal cloaking. I'm not really testing out the cloaking and detection nets there yet because I think it's pretty straightforward how that works. Torpedo computers, so he's trying to stay in range so we can use a Devastator torps, a couple of advanced afterburners. Everything else is pretty straightforward versus our same sort of missile cruisers, just a few small changes. Artillery computer, just a bit of updated tech there. Updated missiles. No cloaking on this fleet. So see how this fight goes. Same thing, 20% weapons range. See how devastating this first volley is, if it's devastating at all.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Devastator torps. Yeah, they did a fair bit of damage. They took 2 losses compared to none. A lot of armor damage, hull damage. Lots of armor. Sort of keeping pace with them. This is where they get split up. This is where they start. Look, they're chasing one freaking cruiser. This is where they get stuffed. Wish the computers would chase the bulk of the enemy and so they can get the most shots off. They're just firing their missiles. They're not getting close enough to fire the torpedoes. Not that I can see anyway. But still, they seem to be winning. At the moment. Not many ship losses yet, or 4 now. Sort of check the actual damage here. Some Marauder missiles, whirlwind missiles there. So torpedoes are in 3rd. Oh, but look at the damage to the armour. Very heavy. So I'm not sure, you can't actually see the torpedoes firing a lot of the time. Oh, there's torpedoes. Still pretty close. Okay, not anymore. They just lost a bunch of ships. Boom. Okay, that's a retreated fleet. Okay. So, I think it was 15 when they retreated. So they lost 5, we lost 4, but we won the battle. So the losses are not too high. But so, as you get into later game tech, Devastator torpedoes and missiles seem a very good combination to use with cloaked ships. At least that initial volley, particularly against missile metas. Now remember, I'm testing against the missile meta here, which is arguably the strongest design in the game currently. You can see how effective it is with the kiting around, firing off. So one of the strongest designs until you get into X-slot weapons and things like that, and it changes up a bit. But missiles predominantly very, very strong. So we've seen now a number of ways to beat them in different stages of the game, using cloaked fleets with torpedoes, missiles, using lasers, plasma with missiles as well. You'd probably, cloaked fleet I think would beat most other fleets early on in the game, mid-game. And we're going to test out a bit more of a combination fleet. My friend Munster's asked me to test this just before, so I'm going to do another test. Okay, for this test, this is what Munster wanted me to test out, something like this. We've gone for a mixed fleet of Corvettes and Frigates. So we're just going with level 2 disruptors, we've got advanced swarm computers, and just sort of early to mid-game sort of tech. Level 1 cloaking, so nothing much. We've just focused on disruptors and computers, which you can easily do pretty early in the game, 30, 35, 40 years in, no problems. The frigates, so we've got 40 of each. Frigates are the ones we tested earlier. I've just put level 2 disruptors on them. And we've got space torpedoes, all armor, cloaking, and torpedo combat computers for this one. For this one, we've got our sort of early game cruisers, which have been very effective in missiles. It's combat computers, armor, shields, afterburners. Nothing really changes there. So we just wanted to see, pretty much the strategy we wanted to see was, can the Corvettes keep speed with the cruisers, harass them with the disruptors, keep whittling them down, while the frigates try to close range and peg them with the torpedoes that way. And we'll see if a 50-50 mix of frigates and Corvettes cloaked works better. We've closed to point blank range. We want to open up and fire everything we've got on the enemy before they know we're here, and try and get some shots off before they run away, hopefully. So let's see how this works out.
Hostile fleet assets engaged.
Did a fair bit of damage there in the opening salvo. We've lost 1, but they've lost a fair bit of hull there. You can see bang straight away, and their armour went down a fair bit. Looks like the Corvettes are chasing after. I'll just slow this down. Corvettes are chasing after individual ships. Try and knock them out by the look of it. Cruisers have got a bit of room to run around in. Chase them to the edge of the map, and then we should catch them. Of course, we're going to go on close on these ones here. Look, peg them in. They're turning around. Oh my god. Combat computers know what to do. Ah, look, they're just running around in circles. They could have closed in on them and just wrecked them. Yeah, they're just bouncing from one side to the other. Yeah, it's just not... The combat computer's just not working very well. The swarm, it's like... I try to swarm them, but they keep just bouncing around, just getting picked off. The cruisers are all spread out. Just so that didn't work. Other than the opening salvo, just wasn't very effective. Alright, well, we've seen a few ways to beat the missile meta with cloaked ships of various types. I think Cloaked's pretty effective. Against most ship designs, it's going to win. It'll win the opening battle, the opening salvo, and we've been in a couple of battles like we saw in the first battle. It won literally in Torpedo's early game one within 2 strikes, and if the fleet doesn't have the speed to get away, and this is probably the key with Cloak, because Cloak nullifies your speed while they're cloaked, and then they don't have shields. So if you can get distance on them, and you've got weapons which do extra damage to armor, then pretty much the Cloak fleet is going to be dead. So speed and damage to armor, because that's what Cloaked fleets are going to use. And that's how you're going to be able to counter them. But then Cloaked fleets that also have speed, maybe a bit of long range of weapons, seem to do pretty good. We saw it was good with plasma, lasers. We saw it was good early with torpedoes and disruptors. The other battles have been a bit one-sided in terms for the missiles, because they just get that speed, get that range, and get away from it. The later game tech with the Devastator torpedoes is really effective. They obliterated the missile cruisers effectively. So that's where you can see that you get past that mid-game and the missile cruisers lose a bit of their effectiveness, because the tech just outpaces them, and that's not even including battleships of X-Lot weapons and things like that. So but I think the Cloak does help bring them, make the missile meta more beatable, and probably some of the other metas more beatable. And as time goes by, we'll probably figure out designs and that really make the cloaking more effective, what the best weapons are to use of them and stuff. And there's all these new weapons we need to test out. It's going to be a busy month or so testing all of this. Alright, so I think I'll leave it here. I think it's enough for one day. Send me your comments and ideas and ship designs and things like that, and we'll try and test out more. I am going to try and progress through the other weapons and test them, but I will do more on Cloaking, because Cloak is a pretty big thing on how to combat it. But today was just basically about testing. I wanted to test it out against the strongest ship metas we need, and we come up with a few ways to beat it, and other ways that the missile meta was just still too strong. But there are ways to beat it, which is good, which you can see in this, and give you some ideas on how you can improve upon it as well, and give me your feedback. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.